And welcome to Impact 2024, our continuing conversation where we talk about all type of topics, current events, what's going on in the world. We talk about things that are happening in the religious community. We talk about racial issues, all types of issues. And this is our safe space to be able to talk and have that kind of conversation. As we all know, there's oftentimes not a lot of places in the world where you're able to talk and communicate and not have to worry about um, blowback and repercussions, where you can actually have an open and free conversation. And as always, we encourage people to join in on that conversation. Type your questions and your comments into the comment section, and we'll address them as they come up. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, wherever you may be, feel free to jump on in and type on in and add to the conversation. You don't necessarily just want to hear me talk. When we have guests, it's great to type stuff in. When we don't have guests, it's great to type stuff in as well. To add to what's going on. And so, as always, we jump right into. We don't dilly dally or play around a whole lot. We hop right into the topic. And the topic that we're going to do today is a continuation. It's the hottest button issue that's going on right now in certain parts of the country, especially. It's a big issue, especially with young people. But we're going right back to the Gaza situation, right back to Hamas. But we always are looking at it more so from what's going on here versus necessarily what's going on there, because what we can touch and what we see and what our interactions are here. And so, just as a recap, just a brief recap, in Israel, in the Gaza Strip, in that part of the world, there has been a continuous war since October the 7th, where Israel has been attacking, bombing the area in Gaza where the Palestinians stay, have been pushing them back, have been attacking Hamas, or that's their goal has been to attack and eradicate Hamas, and have killed over 30,000, well over 30,000. The numbers are go up and down. Don't go down. The numbers go up all the time. 30,000 people, the overwhelming majority of them civilians, and that has been going on. As we said, since October the 7th, all the way until today. And since then, here in the United States, there's been a group of young people all throughout the country, many on college campuses, and actually there have been some in high schools as well, that have been protesting, that have been pushing back against the idea that Israel as a country is going out here and bombing and killing mass numbers of people. Again, and most of them, the overwhelming majority, are civilians. But there was a turn that was taken a little differently. So for a while there, they were having a lot of college campus protests. And so what was going on the college campuses is many of them were having basically tent cities where they were setting up tents and they were protesting, demanding that the colleges did certain things. Now the protest has changed a little bit, though, or there's another leg of it. And this part has gone on social media. And so we're moved into that season that most of the people know about. We're coming up on June, we're at the end of May. That's when colleges are done for the year, when people are graduating, when they're having commencement ceremonies. And so in many of the commencement ceremonies, they're saying across the board that people are doing walkouts, or people are doing the protest in the middle of the ceremony where, they're yelling and have signs and different things that are going on. Here in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia, the governor was speaking, and I'm sorry, not the governor. They had a commencement ceremony here, and they had a walkout in the middle of the ceremony for Virginia Commonwealth University. So right here in Richmond, Virginia, some famous people, because usually these colleges bring in notable individuals to represent, to make speeches and represent the day of the commencement. And so you're having a lot of celebrities, and they're getting up and walking out on them. Politicians who come out, they're getting up and they're walking out on them. People are protesting the war, and they're doing it in a very civil manner in most of these cases. It's not a big disruption where they're trying to shut everything down. It is we're going to get up and we're going to leave. We're going to get up and we're going to leave, and we're going to just show our distaste for what is going on, our dissatisfaction for how the universities are approaching these issues. So that's the one that's been going on right now. Now, and I'll jump on this comment because it's making sure, like, the latest numbers are 35,000 persons killed. More than 53% are women and children. So you understand the depth or of the conflict in Gaza. So 35,000 more than 35,000 people killed. So now it's moved to one of the recent events that happened was the Met Gala. Now, the Met Gala, for those of you who don't know, is this big old gala where the rich and famous celebrities, they go, they dress up, and then they go out and they just have this nice little Met Gala, and everybody's all like, "Oh, what are they going to wear? Who are you wearing?" People wear ridiculously expensive outfits, ridiculous outfits that just look extreme. It is the cream of the crop when it comes to fashion, and so people will just try to be as extreme as possible to get as much eyes and attention as possible. And so you would think, all right, Met Gala, that has nothing to do with anything. These people are, most people are not making statements or anything like that. Some folk wear pins or they wear ribbons or whatever to kind of talk about different issues that they may be thinking about at the time. But for the most part, this is just a night of, luxury, wealth, decadence, whatever you may want to call it. But the response that's been coming from people on social media, or the response that's been coming from some of the young people on social media, is that they've decided to have a blackout. And what they're saying is these individuals who have all of this money and all of this wealth and all of these platforms, they're saying these people who we've created on social media, that now we're going to boycott them on social media for not speaking out. And so they not anybody in particular where they were saying, all right, well, this person because this person is Jewish, or this person because this person is from a certain country or a certain background or whatever. They're not doing it like that. They're basically saying everybody who is a celebrity, who is wealthy, who went to the Met Gala, we're basically going to not participate on their social media feeds. Now, let me be honest. I don't know if that's an effective way to boycott or not. I don't know anything about when it comes to I'm not really a social media guy, even though most everyone who participates here is on it. This is a social media type platform, but I don't know. I don't know if that's an effective way to boycott. I don't know what the ramifications and the reach is of it. The way that it was explained was, we support you and make you have a larger platform by following you and tweeting and whatever else out there, that we're going to black it out, and by saying we're not going to really support what you're doing until you make a comment or make a declaration about where you stand when it comes to the war in Gaza, the conflict in Gaza. My initial question for, in my thought process is like, why are they doing that? What does that have to do with anything? Why would it be a actor, a celebrity, sports star, whoever is at this gala, why is it their responsibility to speak out on the conflict? Why would I care what they have to say? Because most of them, and this is my assumption, most of them have no clue what's really going on. When you're really good at something, you lack somewhere else. And so if you're a really good actor, I don't expect you to be someone who has the time or the capacity necessarily to look into what's going on in different countries. But the way it was explained was those who have a lot, for those who have a lot of money, those who have a lot of fame, those who have a lot, those who have a platform, have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to pay attention to these other issues and to speak to it. That's what the movement is about. The Blackout movement is about. That the people who are rich, the people who are famous, the people who are have a lot of followers online have a responsibility because they were given so much. It's that old saying that we always know: to whom much is given, much more is required. And so that's the question. Do you think that that is the case? Do you think that because someone is famous, because someone is wealthy, that they do have a responsibility to talk to this issue? Do you agree with the boycott or the blackout movement? Should these people be, required to pick a side, or not even pick a side, required to comment, required to say something? Initially when I heard this, I thought to myself, I'm like, well, look, man, like I said, these people, this is not their zone. This is not what they're supposed to do. But then when they explained it, and they're saying, well, look, we give all of these people all of this stuff. We give them all of this money. We give them all this attention. They got if they got the ability to go to this big old gala, Met Gala, they got the ability to go out here and just live a great life while other people are suffering, then the least we expect them to do is to make comments towards it, about it, make a stand about it, say something about it. I don't necessarily, me personally, I don't 100% agree with that, but at the same time, I can understand where they're coming from. I can understand why you expect somebody who has a lot to speak on. When I look at in the business world, and we look at some of the business leaders that we have. You expect a business leader to talk about anything that's really going on in the world. So in 2020, when we were having social unrest all over the country here, you expected every CEO of a company to go back and address the employees or address the shareholders and say, hey, look, this is how this company feels about racial injustice. And everybody, basically, you had to pick a side. And that's why a lot of changes were made. A lot of people had to sit back and say, all right, we're going to put in a diversity and equity program into our business. Or they had to sit back and, decide that we were going to give money to this program or that program. A lot of people had to make some changes because they expected all the leaders of all these companies to make moves. Similar things, I think, is what they're pushing for now. They're pushing colleges, they're pushing celebrities, they're pushing people who honestly don't necessarily have a responsibility or a dog in a fight, but it's just because you were given so much. You got so much money, you got so much freedom, you got so much time, you got so much everything that you have to make a statement. And so that's the question. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know if that's it. But do you want to hear from people how they feel on the wall? Do you want to hear from people how they feel about what's going on? And should there be consequences for inaction? Should there be consequences for saying nothing or sitting on the sidelines? Now, from a Christian standpoint, as we talk about being Christians, it goes the same thing for us. I look at us, and I had to talk to my son today about it. We were talking about being good people and bad and not good people. And I was telling him, listen, you got to be a good person because that's who we are. And he's saying, man, that's not fair. It's just so much more responsibility or so much more work that good people have to do. And I was like, yeah. That's the way it is. You have so much more responsibility, so much more work. And so when we look at being a Christian and trying to sit on the sidelines or stay quiet or not say anything about the Gaza or anything like that, I think it comes into play the same way. We have more responsibilities and more work than other people have. We don't have that luxury sometimes to just sit around and not say anything. So if somebody says, how come you didn't say anything about Gaza? I think there is a response that you may have to have, or you may have to speak to it, because that's what you're supposed to do. Comment. So those whose careers center around social media and how they are perceived or viewed can experience major consequences by being on the wrong side of an issue or not voicing some opinion. Absolutely. I think, and that's the reason that a lot of people don't talk. They do have opinions, but there's consequences. Because if you say the wrong thing, you're going to get punished. Depending on who your crowd is. And so one of the best examples, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, everybody knows who Michael Jordan is. Famous basketball player. Many people consider one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He never really spoke about issues. He had an awesome platform, has an awesome platform, really touched a lot of people's lives, connected with a lot of young people over the years. Everybody knows about his shoes, Gatorade, all of his endorsements, everything. One of the first Black billionaires. We've had a lot now, or relatively, but one of the first Black billionaires. And he decided a long time ago that he didn't want to speak to issues. He said he has his thoughts, but he didn't want to speak to issues. His famous quote is, his famous quote was that Republicans buy shoes too. And so he didn't want to put his views and everything out there. And then you look at somebody like a LeBron James, who oftentimes has spoke and put his views out there. It's a different generation. He's a great basketball player as well. He has just as large a platform as Jordan had. Matter of fact, even larger platform, because now we have social media and we have 24-hour news and all that kind of things. And he hasn't been afraid to put his platform out there. He's a billionaire as well. So he was able to get, get to the level of financial success, get to the level of success on the basketball court, and just take the different path of having a responsibility to say the things that he wants to say. And there's been people who didn't like what he says, and he had to pay a price with certain populations for, sticking up for people of color, sticking up, for what he believes in. And so I think it's a choice. Some people are trying to protect their brand and protect themselves, where other people don't care, and they're going to say what they want to say. And I think that's the difference between you being good and being great. That same conversation that we had. I had with my sons. If you're going to be good, you got to do an extra amount. If you don't say anything, can you get in trouble? And that's what Jordan did. That's what Michael Jordan did. He sat back here. He didn't say anything. Couldn't get in trouble with anybody. Can't get in trouble if you don't talk. But now what these kids are doing with this blackout movement is the exact opposite. You're going to get in trouble if you don't talk. We expect you to say something. You got to be hot or cold. You can't just sit there and do nothing. And in this society, that I think that's where people are nowadays, where everybody wants everybody to pick a side and talk. But the truth on that is, or not the truth, but I think the good part about that is, the bad part about that is you don't need to have an opinion about everything, especially stuff you don't know anything about. But the good part about that is it forces you to sit back here and say, well, look, I need to say something, or what is the right thing to do, or I need to look at issues, or I need to make sure that I'm involved and I understand. And so as this blackout movement goes on, and you're going to start hearing more, if it's effective, you're going to start hearing more celebrities have to speak to the war, speak to the issue. And then if this is effective, then going forward, they're going to make sure that people speak to issues. I used to sit back and I used to wonder, like, why do these celebrities always speak to these issues? Like, I don't care what they got to say. The last thing I want to hear is a basketball player talk about global politics, global economics, talk about the war in Gaza. I don't care about what a basketball player has to say, but these young people do. These social media people do. And the social media people are saying, we do care what you have to say. And because we put money in your pocket, you need to let me know where you stand. So I can decide if I want to continue to put money in your pocket, continue to follow you, continue to be a fan. And so they're putting that pressure on there. And I think it's good. We always want to separate our personal lives sometimes from our celebrities. You hear people say things like, "Man, I just want to watch a sport, or I just want to, watch a show. I don't want the politics to be involved." That's convenient. It's a convenient thing. It's an escape. It's an escape from what's going on in the world, and an escape from what's happening in the world. And as good as that sounds, that escape is the same thing that people say when they get involved heavily in drugs and alcohol. They're like, "Yeah, man, I need to drink so I can forget what's going on, so I can, de-stress from what's going on, or I need to take this drug so I don't have to worry about all that's going on." And so you're making the same kind of when we're deciding that we don't want to pay attention to what's going on in the world, when we don't want to pay attention to what's going on, we don't want to talk to it. We're doing the same thing that somebody is doing that's drinking themselves to sleep or taking, pills or whatever drug they're taking to escape. And so, are we actually doing the right thing? So when you're sitting back saying, "I just want to," I don't want to be involved in any of this stuff or listen to what these celebrities say. All right. So the focus of this is, and the crux of this is this: to whom much is given, is much more required. Is it a requirement that because you have celebrity fame money, that you should have to talk to these issues? Is it a good thing that these young people, and I assume it's young people in the social media world, are pushing folk to speak to the issues? The danger of that is, to these young folk, I will say, is that you'll have people speak to the issues. Doesn't mean they're going to be on your side. And if you want to have all these people speak, you may be disappointed in what they have to say. And then what are you going to do? Then what is your result then? And so, as much I'm always being on the side of people being able to protest, especially young folk, whether I agree with them or disagree with them, I always want young folk to make sure that they put their 2 cents in, because this is their world more so than it is ours, the older people. Let's be honest. Some people need to keep their mouths shut. If they are thought to be ignorant, opening their mouths may remove all doubt. Absolutely. That's what we've all been taught. No one knows you're a fool if you keep your mouth shut. If you open it and you confirm it, then they're going to actually know. So I think that's why a lot of people shy away. But I'll say, as we go, as people of faith go, I think we have a responsibility not to shy away and talk towards these issues, and put our stuff out there. Comment: how can you expect with something that how can you expect with something not in front of you? Yeah, that's that I think that's the hard part here. They expect it to be you to talk about something that you're just not. It's not in front of you. It's not right in your face. It's something that you don't know about. And I think we can get lost in that. A lot of people will sit back and be like, "Well, why are you not talking about this? Why are you not talking about that? Why you don't have an opinion about this? Why you don't have an opinion about that?" And that stuff is just not right in front of your face. It's not something that you know about. It's not something that you should know about. But I will say, I do think for some of us, once we get exposed to it, we should, if we have the time and opportunity to look into it and see what's going on and then have an opinion. But for most stuff, yeah, how are you supposed to know? You could spend all day, every day looking for issues and things to talk about. Okay. How can you expect something that's not your fault? Yeah. Now that's a great point. That's the weird part about what's going We always get, we expect celebrities, we expect ourselves, we expect everyone to get so involved in things that have nothing to do with you, that you have no influence on. It's not your fault. You don't have any power over it. And people get so involved and so wrapped into stuff, and we don't even really have any kind of influence. But what these young people are doing, I'll give it to them, is that there's no fault on what they're doing in Gaza. There's no influence that they really have, but they're making themselves have influence. They're putting themselves and getting themselves involved because of what they see and what they do and what they want. And so as people they want the killing to stop over there. That's the main thing about these protests, is that they want the war to stop. And it's interesting that they put it on people. They're going to punish folk who have no fault in the situation that's over there, but they're going to punish you for not participating in trying to stop the war. And so it's interesting. It's a weird situation. All right. I was pausing to make sure that a comment wasn't coming in. That's it. And so that's the thing to consider. Take a look. If y'all don't know about the blackout movement that these people are starting to try to push on celebrities, on those who have a little bit of money and things like that, maybe you want to check it out. Google it and see what they're talking about. See from where these people are coming from. Oh, comment did just come in. How can you expect when you need nothing to get fired from what you love doing? That's that's a good one. The risk of getting involved, the risk of going out here and making comments, the risk of going out here and doing things is you could lose what you love. Going back to that Jordan situation, Jordan never spoke and never talked about things, never got involved in things in order to protect his brand, in order to not just protect himself, but he was protecting a lot because all the basketball players who are making crazy amounts of money now, especially young black players, he brought all of them up. And so in order to protect everything, he said nothing. And so when you risk not only what you're doing, but you risk for others when you go out here and you talk, when you go out here and you do things. You put everything out there, so you can get fired. You can lose what you got. Individuals, we can get fired from jobs. Celebrities, you can get fired from movies and lose you can get. They're forcing you to do stuff that'll put your whole entire life at risk, your financial life at risk. And so it's a scary situation and responsibility that people have. But again, to whom much is given, that's or how we say it, more money, more problems, And so that's where it comes into play. All right. Well, we hit our time. As always, I want to remind everyone that on Thursdays, 7 Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook and YouTube, we have our Thursday Bible study. At 10 o'clock on Sundays, right here, Facebook and YouTube, we have a service. And if you're in the area, worship service, if you're in the area, please feel free to come by. The address is right there on the screen. And on Tuesdays at 7, we have prayer. And so please pray with us. Everyone is praying. We're not necessarily praying together, but at sometime between 7 and 7:45, go ahead and put up a prayer and pray with us. And then, of course, at 8 on Tuesdays, we are here for Impact 2024. I appreciate all the comments that came in. Everybody who's, everybody who's watched us over the time, and everybody who continues to watch us and support us and continue to have these conversations. We thank you and appreciate you. And continue to be a part of this. And to everyone, have a good one, and we will be back here next week, same time, same place.